Chapter 1: The Mouse House Trap. I hate to admit it, but the truth is, moving to New Jersey from Philadelphia wasn't the worst thing in the world. Of course, I also have to admit that I really enjoyed how much trouble my parents went to making sure that I was okay with moving to New Jersey. Apparently, I made such a big deal about moving that my parents still felt guilty. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like they were going to change their plans because I wanted to stay in Philadelphia, but during the past year, I definitely sensed some guilt. Unfortunately for my parents, I wasn't the only one who noticed. While they were too small to understand why, even my brother Timmy and my sisters Maggie and Emma noticed. I began to think that the only thing better than rich parents had to be guilty parents. And since my parents weren't rich, guilty was working out just fine. My best friend from the old neighborhood, Joey Grapes, gave me the best advice. If your parents feel guilty, you've got to squeeze them. Even if you're really happy, every once in a while, look a little sad, especially if you really want something, or if you're about to get in trouble. While it seemed sneaky, Joey Grapes, as usual, knew what he was talking about. He knew so much, he even warned me not to overdo it. One time, when his dad ran over his bike, he ended up with a new bike, a skateboard, and some video games. He was definitely the master. I decided to only use the guilt for important things. The most important thing, of course, would be getting out of trouble. After that, I would have to be careful not to waste it. Since I wasn't in trouble at the moment, I started to think about something I could squeeze out of my parents. I was too young to drive, so a car wasn't an option. I always wanted to learn how to snowboard, but summer was around the corner. I thought about it for a while, and then it hit me. I wanted to go to Florida. Every year my parents promised we would go, and every year there was another reason why we couldn't, usually a new baby. We spent most of the last summer moving and never even took a vacation. We were so busy unpacking, I don't think anyone even noticed. I logged onto the internet and looked up Orlando. I couldn't believe how many cool things I found. It looked amazing, and I decided to print every page. Not being very patient and realizing there were hundreds of pages, I changed my mind. While I stared at the screen, I remembered that Joey Grapes went to Orlando every summer to visit his grandparents. He went so often that he knew all of the local lingo. He would tell us stories about the Magic Kingdom, SeaWorld, Epcot, even though he called them the Mouse House, the Big Fish, and the Globe. Epcot was his favorite part because he said you could visit 20 different countries in one day. That sounded like the kind of bargain my dad wouldn't be able to pass up. Without thinking, I decided to call a family meeting. I had never done this before, but I had seen them on TV plenty of times. I knew I would have a better shot of going if I showed my parents some brochures and pictures. I called Joey and asked him if he had anything I could use. "So let me get this straight," Joey Grapes asked. "You want to talk your parents into taking your family to Florida? That's pretty ambitious for an amateur." "That's right," I answered. "And the way I see it, it's the least they could do. You know, they did make us move to New Jersey." "Well, I have a folder full of stuff for all the parks and some pictures. But let me ask you this. How are you going to ask them?" "I'll just ask," I confidently answered. "No, no, no," he started. "That's all wrong. Florida is a big trip. You can't just ask them out of the clear blue sky and expect them to say yes." "Why not?" I asked. "They made us move to New Jersey." "Yeah, I know, but it's not like they forgot your birthday." "So what do you suggest?" "You'll have to work them really hard. You remind them how much they need a vacation. Leave some pictures around so they'll think it's their idea." "What if they say no?" "Look sad and get the little kids to look sad and pitiful too." That shouldn't be hard, I thought. I always considered my brother and sisters to be a pretty pitiful bunch anyway. What if they say they want to think about it? That's what you want. Don't expect them to agree right off the bat. What if it takes them a week to think? Look pitiful for a week. How do you think I got my dog? He laughed. All right, my grandfather is coming to our house in a little while. Stick everything in an envelope and get it to him right away. I'll call you later. As soon as my grandfather's car pulled up, I ran outside to meet him. Hey, Pop, you have anything for me? Actually, I do, he said, pulling out the envelope. Joey said it was very important. What's up? No time to talk, I said, running back to my room. I felt bad not talking to him, but I would explain it to him later. When we finished eating dinner that night, I told my parents that we should have a meeting. What did you do? My father asked suspiciously. What do you mean? I asked with my saddest face. Did you get in trouble at school today? No. Did you break something? No, I didn't break anything. Okay, then what do you want? He asked with one eyebrow raised. I couldn't believe it. It was like he had radar and he knew I was up to no good. I wanted to call a timeout and talk to Coach Joey Grapes, but I was on my own. I decided that my sad face may not have been sad enough, and I bit my bottom lip a little harder. I just thought that we should have a meeting. Honey, let him tell us what's on his mind, my mom said as she scraped the dinner dishes. Thanks, Mom, I said with my head down. Sorry, Nick, go ahead, my dad said, definitely still suspicious. Well, last year was so crazy with moving and everything. I think we forgot to go on a vacation. So I thought that we should plan a vacation for this summer, so we don't forget again. There it was. I said it, and I said it with my saddest face. According to Joey Grapes, this would work. I looked so sad they'd probably offer to take us to Italy. That's what you wanted to talk about? My dad asked, laughing. Well, yeah. I just thought it would be nice to go somewhere cool for a change. Hey, what do you mean for a change? We always go on great vacations, my dad insisted. We've taken you guys to Baltimore, Myrtle Beach, and Lancaster. Plus, the reason we didn't go away last year was because it took months to unpack all of the boxes. Actually, we're still not finished unpacking, honey, said my mom. Thanks, Mom. I know we go on great vacations, but since Emma is 3 now, I thought we should go to Orlando before I get too big to enjoy it. That's very thoughtful of you, my mom said sarcastically. Well, it's been so busy this year, moving into a new house, going to a new school, and making new friends. I just thought we could all use a vacation. In one sentence, I reminded them how they ripped me from my home, my school, and my friends. Listen, Nick, I know we always say that we're going to Florida someday, but I don't know if this is the right time. Why not? I asked, pulling out the envelope. What have you got there? My mom asked, with one eyebrow raised. Stuff about Florida. Let me see, my mom said as she took the envelope. My parents looked at the pictures and started laughing. What's so funny? I asked. Nick, where did you get these pictures? Joey Grapes, why? Well, is there a reason you're showing us pictures of Joey Grapes running around without a diaper? What? I asked, jumping up to grab the pictures. I couldn't believe it. Every picture was of Joey Grapes when he was 2 years old. They weren't pictures of the mouse house. They were pictures of his grandparents' house. There were no pictures of the big fish, only pictures of Joey making fish faces. Luckily, in the bottom of the envelope was an Orlando brochure. Aha! I yelled as I pulled out the wrinkled brochure and handed it to my parents. My parents looked at the brochure for about 3 seconds and then turned it back to me. Well, what do you think? Want to go? Honey, Why don't you let us think about it?" My mom said with her "you don't have a chance" smile.